We started out in the very first chapter of Derech Hashem, talk about the emunah, the very foundation of everything is the belief. One has to have faith and belief if he wants to continue building upon that belief. If one has the yesodot, the correct understanding of how this world came about, he's able to progress to the next steps. Once we have that foundation, and that's clear, the foundation of the emunah, one can proceed to the next step, which was the Tachlit Avriyah, trying to understand what the purpose of this creation was, which we already covered. After that, we discussed the Minha Enushi, the human species. In this creation, there's a lot of creations. There are animals, all sorts of things, there's galaxies. We're interested mostly with the center, the Mezer Avriyah, the crown of all creation, the most important part, as we were told, that is the human species himself. What is his part? What is his role in this creation? We spoke briefly about that. Now we need to figure out this human being. What is he made out of? And once we are able to define or to characterize, to describe what he's all about, we will understand the various struggles that he faces, the challenges, and better understand what his role is and how he's supposed to go about fulfilling that role. We have to understand how he fits in, what is he made out of, and can he actually do what he's expected to do? What are his capabilities? What are his limitations? All of that is in this chapter. Okay, he begins basically by reminding us that the human being as well as the world have something in common. The human being is different because the human being has something spiritual about him, the neshama. But besides the neshama, what is similar between the human being and this world is that they're both materialistic. They're both physical. That creates a big problem. But as we will see, it's also a necessity. Hashem knew what he's doing. He's the architect, he's the designer, he's the engineer. So he knows what he's doing, so we will understand what is the purpose of making somebody physical, especially if this physical characteristic in him is part of his limitation. Spiritual does not have as many limitations as the physical world does. So this human being has limitations because a portion of him consists of the physical being. The rabbis had a discussion for several years. Was it a good idea for man to be born, for man to be created, or not? What was at the heart of the discussion? Well, let's see. We are told, and we believe, that man is here for a purpose. If he fulfills that purpose, if he reaches his goal, he will be rewarded for his efforts. This is not a game. This is a serious creation. There's a purpose for it. Hashem does not just play around and make worlds. If he created it, he had something in mind. And this is not the end. This is a means to an end, as the rabbis call it, a prosdor, a hallway. Alright, the question is, can he make it there safely? Or is it very difficult? Well, we have a tradition. God never gives a challenge that he cannot take. Everybody who has the struggle, has a challenge, has an obstacle, he can overcome it. God would not give us something that we cannot bear, that we cannot deal with. So the rabbis are having a discussion that nevertheless, even though that is true, that man can overcome any situation that he's put into, him personally, not necessarily his friend's situation, but his personal situation, nevertheless they had a discussion, was this such a good idea for him to be born? Why? Because what are his chances, if we use statistics, that he will succeed? What are the chances that he will? If he succeeds, of course, he's going to be rewarded. If he fails, at least the bare minimum, he won't make it there. And he has lived 70, 80, 90 years, whatever, in suffering. Because not everybody's happy, not everybody's prosperous, not everybody's where he'd like to be physically, or healthy, or health-wise, right? So physically, not everybody is where they would like to be, even though it's where Hashem would like them to be. Well, if this was the only world we have, many people would be very, very disappointed. Many, many people. There's a lot of people who are happier than they are. But obviously we know that this is not everything. This is just a few years that we're passing by. We're tourists here. So Baruch Hashem, we have something to look forward to. Or do we? Well, it all depends. If we succeeded in performing, then we have at least something to look forward to. There was once a Jew that complained to the Gaon of Vilna, I think it was. He was very poor and miserable and worked so hard. Rabbi, will I at least have Olam Haba? I don't have Olam Haba. At least will I have a normal, paradise, peace of mind? He says, well, what are you doing in order to get that Olam Haba? Are you doing anything about it? You have to earn it. And that's what the discussion was. Okay, The rabbis agreed and understood that man has to earn it, but will he earn it? What are his chances? And the conclusion was, in the one camp said, it's better for him not to have been born. The other camp said, no, it's good for him to have been born. If he's born, he has a chance. If he's not born, he does not have that chance of getting there. So it's good that the neshama comes down, is given the opportunity to reap all these benefits if he succeeds. But the conclusion was at the end, the maskana was noach lo shelo. In the end, their conclusion after discussing this issue was, in reality, man had been better off not being born. Why? Because the chances of failure are unfortunately greater. What does that mean? The man is doomed to fail? No. But there are many challenges, many temptations, many difficulties in life that either distract or dissuade, discourage, right? Or simply make it difficult for man to progress, to continue to grow, to reach that destination. You know, just imagine you're going from here to San Francisco, and your car, after 10 miles, has a flat. After 45 miles, your battery goes. After 75 miles, your transmission goes. How long is it going to take? Will you ever make it there? You might go back. Forget it. Get a new car, right? Well, that's what happens. Sometimes people give up. A person should never give up. A Jew is never supposed to give up. Rabbis tell us, even if a person sees himself in the worst situation, what's the worst? The sword, the guillotine is already on your neck. Never give up. Ask him. We can always beg for mercy. He's merciful, the Almighty. Even though we do not merit it, as a result of His midah, midat harachamim, we might get by. So regardless of a person's personal situation, his finances, and otherwise his health, one should never give up hope. And even if he is not doing well, physically, mentally, spiritually, should never give up hope. Should ask. Prayer is something very, very powerful. In any event, this is at the heart of the issue of whether man should have been created. Man is so important here. He has so many responsibilities. There's something to look forward to. But in the end, statistically, it's not easy. Nobody ever said it. But is it possible? Can one make it? Yes, of course. One can make it. Otherwise, God would not put us into this situation. What is the key to success? I mean, we're going to see soon what's involved, what's required. But the key, perhaps, is summed up in what Rabbi Nachman Breslev said, what has become a popular song. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od, v'ikar lo lefrahed. The whole entire world can be compared to a narrow bridge, where one sees the precipice. People, when they're at great heights, they look down, they get scared, right? They faint, or they fall when they see it. V'ikar lo lefrahed klal. It's true. You can take the wrong move. You can make the wrong move right or left, and you fall. Why? There was a story, which rabbi it was, I think it was the times of Voloshin from Salante. These people never went to circuses. They never went to the outside world. They were concentrated in their studies and their learning. One time, this rabbi expressed his desire to go see the circus. What do you want to see? The circus? Animals? I'm not going to see animals. I'm not going to have fun. I want to see just one act. What's the act are you into? The act where, what do you call that act where a person, tightrope, where a person crosses from here to here, down there, if you fall. But I think in the circus at least they have a net. I think so. No, in this particular place they did not have a net. That's what I want to see. I want to see how he is able to do so, and I know the way he does so is by focusing, by concentrating. That's what I admire. I admire this quality of that a person who's able to focus, to ignore the dangers. In order for him to cross over, he has to concentrate. This is what I want to see, because this is exactly the midah that we need to succeed in life. One has to focus and concentrate on his destination. This is where I'm headed. Not be distracted, oy vavoy. Otherwise you fall. And if you focus and concentrate on the right things, you will not have all these niksholim, all these obstacles that will drag you away, that will make life more difficult for you, that will bring about sorrows and disappointments and heartaches. Because all these heartaches and disappointments, what are they usually from? Usually, for most people, from a lack of happiness of material possessions. Something happened to his car, something happened to his house, something to him physically. All of this is material and this is physical. And it's human nature. You cannot completely eliminate that. But nevertheless, that's not the ikara. First, think for a moment. What is the ikara? What do I have to achieve? Where am I headed? He would minimize these. You cannot totally eliminate it. People need to survive. You need a roof over your head. You need a car to transport yourself. But zelo aikar. So you don't have the latest model. So you don't have a 4,500 square foot home with 12 bathrooms. So you don't have, everything that the neighbor has. So what? That's zelo aikar. Chafetz Chaim's wife complained to her husband once. They were not rich. Sometimes they were barely making it. They survived. They had a small little shop. But once she complained to her husband, my dear husband, look at the neighbors. The children are happy. They're well fed. They have what they eat. Look at us. Look at the family. So simple, barely anything. We were so struggling. Why should it be like that? Now don't think for a moment that she had no emunah, but she's human and she's a woman. And the women, sometimes that's on their mind. How am I going to feed my kids? Much more than the man, who also thinks about that, but he's involved in other things. So she compares. That's quite normal. Look at the others. They're Jewish, just like us. They weren't, of course, not as strong, perhaps, as the Chafetz Chaim's family, but nevertheless, they were Jews. So she complains. So the Chafetz Chaim says, would you like to exchange their kids for our kids? They may have material possessions. They have the kids that we have. So she understood right away. This is what you should be happy about. What's more important? Good children, good neshamot. Kibud Avayim, the honor of the parents, the mitzvot haboreh, mitzvot of the Torah. We don't have that, but we have this. And be happy with what you have, and especially that this is the. So getting back to what we were saying, so the rabbis came to the conclusion, because it's difficult, there's many challenges, but we can succeed if we know what we're doing. Now that's the big question. So what do we need to do in order to succeed? In the very beginning, he gives us just this description that man and this world are in some ways similar because both of them have what he calls darkness. Choshen, the material or the physical part of him is dark. This darkness is the exact opposite of the kedusha, the holiness, which is found in the mitzvot, which is what the neshama wants. They're two opposites. And because they're two opposites, each one pulls in a different direction. Nevertheless, he says that it's through this darkness, that same darkness that is pulling him away, that one can bring himself closer to Hashem. Through this darkness, through this physical world, through this physical body that appears to be opposite and contrary to the kedusha, to the neshama's wishes. On the contrary, Hashem made it so in a very ingenious way. Hashem can do anything. The dafka in such a way, that's the way it's going to be accomplished. Before we get to the actual point of how this is done, let me perhaps give you a brief introduction. You know that the human body, the way it functions, is that when we eat, does everything that we eat remain in the body? The body knows to eliminate the solid, right? It knows to eliminate that which is not necessary. It retains the liquids, it purifies them, the nutrients, all these other little that the body needs for survival, and it throws out the waste. And there's various types of waste, the liquid waste, the solid waste. In the same way, when Kabbalistic created the world, what he had in mind is that the human being will assume a tremendous amount of control and responsibilities. There can be waste in this world, even though everything is necessary. Everything that Hashem made is necessary, from the smallest creature that was created to every herb and plant and fruit. There's a need for it. Hashem did not only make a beautiful world with a variety of flowers. There's a need for everything. For the ecosystem to function properly, we need everything. Now, some species have disappeared, and who knows how that's affecting. We can't figure out how that's affecting, but we know if Hashem made it so, there was a need for it. However, even though there's a need for everything, and everything is beautiful and nice, there is always the possibility for abuse. Food is good and healthy. If one abuses it, he becomes overweight, and he endangers his health. In the same way, everything in this world, even though it's helpful and useful and good, if one abuses it, what does abuse mean? Gives it too much importance, acquires too much of it, that is detrimental. That is where the man's downfall is. If man were to know, to control himself, to do everything measured, he would have no problem with this physical world that is choshek, that is darkness, which is exact opposite of the kedusha, which is tearing him away. When he overdoes it. Only if he subjects himself to that, if he becomes a slave of that, if he makes that the ikar, only then does it have the power to be stronger than his neshama, that is giving him other advice. The human being is always torn. He has something called a conscience, right? A matzpun that's telling him to do something like this, or what his physical body wants and desires. Most people do not listen to what the neshama wants. They're so engrossed in their physical body. Either they're so lazy or so stubborn, regardless, whatever characteristics they may have, which is part of their physical being, that is so powerful, or they have anger, or they have arrogance. Any one of those. Everybody has something, and they're so into it. They never control themselves that they don't even give the neshama a chance. What do you have to say? Tell me the truth. Tell me what's best for me. People don't ask what's best for me, what's best for my body, my physical, even though they don't say that way. And that's where the downfall begins. And Rambam speaks about it quite a bit, that everything should be done the Derech, the middle way. No extreme. Nothing should be extreme. So except for Torah learning, of course, you can learn a lot of Torah. But anything which is too much, even too beautiful, a woman that is too beautiful, many things can happen. Many things can go wrong. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that, but obviously there's other things that are more important than that. What if a woman is extremely beautiful? She's Miss Universe 3 years in a row. Something like that, right? But her character, her nature, she's a rotten, spoiled brat, right? Who wants to marry somebody like that? So what's all the beauty? The beauty goes away eventually. Money goes away. It doesn't stay forever. A person that has good midot, the right outlook towards life, and has the strength of character to raise children, to conduct a household. This is what one needs to find in a husband and a wife. The basics. So the same he's going to explain to us over here, that this is exactly what happens with the body and the neshama. A person has to find the balance, the correct balance. If he finds the correct balance, he's able to survive. The goof will not drag him in one direction or the other. There will be a balance. Each one will want what they want, but there will be a balance. They will coexist beautifully. Once we understand this point of having the balance, of the need to have a balance, of not abusing this world, now we will be able to understand what keli, what vehicle HaKadosh who gave that body that will help it with its balance. Somebody's walking a tightrope. Does he have anything in his hand? Usually. Why? A stick, exactly. For balance. For balance. It helps with the balance. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the mitzvot. Who does the mitzvot? The physical body. The physical body does mitzvot. And these mitzvot means of that physical body, number one, plus they illuminate the neshama. In other words, the neshama receives a tremendous boost, tremendous benefit performing mitzvot, and it's rewarded, of course. And the goof itself, the body itself, is, we can call it corrected, or spiritualized, or energized, or balanced, right? In such a way that it does not fall apart, it does not lose itself, and it definitely does not drag the neshama. So this is, we can call it balance, we can call it however you want to call it. He calls it also zikuch haguf. Zikuch haguf means to purify the body. The body is purified, it almost becomes like a neshama. It only wants to do good things. It doesn't want to overeat, even though it's steak, I don't know, all the good foods, right? Haven't you seen sometimes a wedding hall, a shmogah, where everybody runs, just taste everything? Where were you? Like they've never seen food before. What's going on? That's because their body is so into it.
They fill their plate up so much that they leave half the food.
Then, they've eaten so much, the shmogah board, when they come to the main meal, the main course, they see that, oh no, now we have all these beautiful food, but I'm so full. And I've heard of people throwing up so they can eat it. Could you believe that? Before trade. Anyway, that's abusing the food, right? Like the famous saying in English, we eat to live. We don't live to eat. But some people live to eat every opportunity. These people must love all these restaurants. Eat what you can eat. Eat what you can, for $15. As much as you want. They must love these places. Anyway, so the mitzvot will give it to us as a vehicle to be mezakech the goof, to purify the goof, maintain this balance, and in the end also to receive a reward. So let's go back to the original question. So the rabbis who had a discussion is, was it worthwhile for us to be born? They agreed at the end of that. Not everybody makes it. But the rabbis asked the following question. But once we're here already, as manase, Ashav Shenivra, now that he's already here, so what should he do to survive? They have to answer, they have to give us advice. You should always examine this deed. Am I leaning to the right? Am I leaning to the left? Am I balanced or not? You should always examine yourself. Where am I headed? Where am I? Here or here? A person who always asks himself and always examines himself, does not lose his mind, stays focused, right? Corrects himself, just like alignment in a car. we need to align it once in a while because of the bumps. So, especially Masad, the same thing. If you align yourself, you always examine yourself, you will be able to stay on track, and hopefully God will help you finish and get to your destination. So now that we know that we can get to our destination, we need to remember that this can only be done through the mitzvot. These mitzvot have the power to keep us in the balance, and also to achieve the reward that we're looking forward to. The greatest of all the mitzvot, the one that has the most power of all, to maintain that balance, to illuminate the neshama, and I left out one thing. It's really the same thing as illuminating the neshama. But when I say illuminating the neshama, I mean bringing that person, drawing him closer to Hashem, which we'll talk about next. What is it, tzaddik? Tzaddik is a person who has drawn himself very, very close to Borei Olam. There are those who are extremely close, those who are farther away. So by performing these mitzvot, it is a vehicle to maintain the balance, to get closer to Hashem. The greatest mitzvah of all, which one do you think is? Study Torah. How did you know? No.
Well, because I do it.
But listen to this. I'm going to tell you something interesting. Most people are not aware of this. Why is the study of Torah so important? Why is it so powerful? What would you say?
Guides you through life.
So you're saying it's a source of information. Okay.
Because you what not.
Right. Anybody else? That is a simple understanding.
Keeps your mind busy.
Okay. Right. It keeps your mind busy. There's two parts to the learning of Torah. One is the actual, it's called the actual higayon. Higayon meaning the actual, not that higayon. The immersion in the words, reading the words, and there is the sikhli, the haskalah, the knowledge that we have gotten from learning. What you said has to do with the second part, the haskalah. By learning Torah, we absorb a tremendous amount of knowledge that is great advice, and it's comparable, if we compare it, it's much more than that, to at least an owner's manual of a new complex piece of machinery. If you want to use that complex piece of machinery properly, you want to obey yourself, all its benefits, all its buttons, you might as well read it. I remember before I bought my first computer, I studied computers, I studied programming, I studied almost anything I can. Even though I was never going to do all of that, I said, I'm buying myself a tremendous powerful machine. Tremendous powerful machine. This is way back then. I bought the first one was a 386-33. It was a tremendous leap forward. So I learned the basics, the DOS, the mechanics, and I learned how to assemble it myself, to fix it, and what each one represented, and what went wrong, what you need to do. I wanted to be in charge. This is a complex machine I was investing in. I don't want to always make phone calls, call people to repair it. Most people don't do these kind of things. Of course, even when they buy a dishwasher, they don't read the manual. I save all the manuals from all these things. Most of the time I don't need it. Sometimes, when you buy a cell phone, for example, which is much more complex than a dishwasher, because it can do more things, even then people don't read it. I went to the bother of reading the whole thing, page to page. I gotta know what it can do. I'm investing in something. It has all these beautiful, interesting functions. Might as well learn how to do it, right? Cell phone, right? Then you have all these organizers too. You do all sorts of things with them. The only way you can know what they can do is by reading the manual. So what you said was true about the Torah too, that one thing that we gain from it is the haskalah, the knowledge, which helps us guide ourselves in this world. We know what we can do and what we should not do. Stay away from that. This is no, stay away from, do this. That's the haskalah. The second part of it is the immersion, the reading of the words. Simply going through the Nevi'im, the Torah, the Gemara, the Midrash, the Agadah. If a person just goes through the Zohar, the Musar, just by reading the words and by continuously repeating them, the neshama is tremendously elevated by simply saying words. And that is why you will find that some Sephardim speak about it, they write about it, that even reading the words of the Zohar, even if you don't understand what you're reading, has a tremendous segula, has a tremendous power. We don't understand how, but that's what they tell us. Just reading the Zohar, even though you don't understand, most people don't understand every single word in the Zohar. And even if they understand the words, they don't understand every concept of the Zohar. Some of them are very deep. Reading the Zohar, even if you don't understand. So what do we have here? We have two ideas. We have the reading, even though there's no comprehension, and then the comprehension, which you need in order to become knowledgeable, and know what to do in life. So the Torah, that is the koach of the Torah. And Hashem said, you know what? I wish if the Jewish people ever left anything, stopped doing mitzvot, I wouldn't mind it. Hashem says that if they stop doing everything, but they remain studying Torah. Because the light of the Torah is so bright, it would bring them back. Even if a Jew were to leave everything, Khalila, God forbid, stop keeping Shabbat, doing this, doing that, things that are against the Torah, but he continuously read Torah, he learned Torah, that would bring him back a bit. Torah has a tremendous. This when we come upstairs, you set aside time for Torah, even a few minutes every single day. This is your nourishment. Just like you needed to eat and drink every day. You needed your sleep, your 6-7 hours of sleep. Did you learn Torah? You needed that too. To recharge your batteries, to have koach, to fight the Yetzer Hara, right? To develop your physical body, to keep that balance, to illuminate, to elevate your neshama. Did you do that? You wasted so much time, you lost so much. You know what you could have been, you know what your potential was. That may became a tzaddik. You think you couldn't become like what he did? Everybody can become like Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe not exactly, but we can elevate ourselves to a tremendous level if we only allow ourselves. One is not necessarily better than the other. Obviously, some people have certain kelim, certain tools that allow them to, perhaps to memorize more Gemara. They have a better mind. That's memory. That's retention. But kedusha, holiness, nekut b'Hashem, becoming attached to God, becoming a good man, a refined character. Everybody's capable of doing that. Yes, some people are born with a good heart. So by nature, they'll have an easier time doing chesed and tzedakah, charity, but they'll have some other challenge. Right? Everybody has a challenge. That's why we're here. Everybody that is here has a tafkid, has a role. There's something that he needs to correct. There's something that he has that is not easy for him to do. Everything was easy for him to do, but what would be the challenge? Why should he be rewarded? The reward is always greater, therefore, according to the effort invested. Lefum sahara, two people doing the same mitzvah, but one had a more difficult time. He was raised in a non-religious family. He grew up in Rancho Cucamonga, right, where there's no Jews whatsoever. He studied Torah. He became interested, even though he was in public school, and even though his parents did not allow him. He went out of his way. He bought himself tuna catfish, because he couldn't use the plates in his parents' home. He decided to become kosher. You see the struggle that I've met people like that, who in their own home, when they were still single, not married, and young, went through many struggles even with their own family. Forget about the struggle, the challenges from the chevra, from the outside world, which is also very big. The shame. What happened to you that you're wearing a kippah? Did somebody pass away in the family? You know, when you start wearing a kippah, you think somebody died. You have kippah that you distribute?
When you want to wear it, you know what I told them?
Yeah.
I said, it's my thing.
Yeah.
I told him if the Pope can wear it, he's not even Jewish. You have a problem in the family, it's just for the funeral.
What did they do then? They wear it. They think about it, yeah. I don't know what
like that.
Yeah. Alright, so the Torah, that is the tremendous koach of the Torah, that it has in bringing us closer to Hashem and maintaining that balance. And that balance really is the key to everything. Some people are able to focus and maintain it, and some people just lose it. Getting back to the mitzvot. This is the vehicle that Hashem gave us to do what? To use the body to get close to Him. It's not, the neshama is always close to Him. Everybody's neshama is close to Hashem. It's part of, it came down from Hashem. That is a tremendous koach that the human being has, comes from the neshama. That is where the chirach of his free will comes. The neshama is the captain of the ship. His body is just like a ship. So the neshama wants to do the right thing. But we are in this physical world. And what did we say before? This physical world there's two things that's physical about it. The human body is physical, the world is physical. And what he explains later on, that man cannot avoid the physical world. He needs money, which is physical, to survive in this physical world. He needs a medium of transportation. So in other words, we're always in contact. We need to be in contact with the physical world. But by way of the Quran, by way of the mitzvot, you are able to maintain that balance and focus on the right thing, because you'll be knowledgeable and know what you need to do, and be able to elevate even that body. So by giving you that body, even though it's physical, but through the mitzvot, you're able to elevate yourself from the darkness to the light, from the tumah to the kedusha, and do what is expected of you. So we gave the example of Torah being the most powerful mitzvah. But in reality, the rabbis tell us every single mitzvah does something to the body. And they tell us that there's 613 mitzvot, and every mitzvah is connected an ever. It corresponds to one of the limbs. If a person performs a mitzvah b'shlemut, completely, he's able to perfect that limb. If a limb, chas v'shalom, is weakened, maybe it's possible, because a mitzvah that corresponds to that limb is not being done. Right? Because every mitzvah corresponds to a limb. We don't exactly know, but it's okay to suspect that there is a connection between the two. Obviously, there's all sorts of teshmonot that Hashem has. Somebody gets hurt. Give you an example. We know, hopefully all of us know, she'en mikrim. We believe that there's something called coincidence, by chance. Let's say somebody was going down the street and he got hurt. He fell, he tripped. That's not a coincidence. Even though he wasn't watching where he was going, it makes no difference. Still not a coincidence. And he got hurt. And where did he get hurt? In his fourth finger. It broke. Not his thumb, not his index finger, his fourth finger. That was the one that broke. Why that one? Hashem knows why. All we know about it is that there's some yisurim there, there's some pain involved. The pain is mechaper, that's all we know. Pain atones. Little pain, there's a lot of pain. Every pain atones. And every pain, there's a reason for it. Why that finger, why that limb, why this duration? That only is. But there is a cheshbon for that. There is a reason for all of that. In the same way that every limb corresponds to a certain mitzvah, every mitzvah that is performed does something for that limb. So by way of performing the mitzvot, we're actually doing something for that physical body, on a spiritual level, of course, that is able to purify that body and bring it closer to doing the will of Hashem. Why? Because the body is right now, once it's purified, on the side of the neshama, not against it. When they're born, he goes on to explain, when a human being is born, he starts off very bad. Until the age of bar mitzvah, a child, basically all he has is a yetzer hara, not a yetzer tov. He has the evil inclination. That's why children want everything for themselves. That's why they always complain, right? Never happy, right? Because the neshama is very small at that point. The way you can tell the neshama is small is by the amount of intelligence. A child does not have all the intelligence when born. He only gets it when he grows up. Some people never get that. Too far with their intelligence anyway. But when they're young, their intelligence is small because the neshama is small. It grows with the body. So who's there first? Who's there and strong with a lot of energy? The body. Even though the body is small too, but the yetzer is there, the full power. But that is why, up until the age of bar mitzvah, you cannot tell the true potential of a child, even though you can see a little bit of his nature. It is only after he gets his yetzer atov, where his sechel has developed or has opened up. Now the two are almost equal. Right? The yetzer has a little bit of an advantage of being there first. He had a head start, right? That is why it's not easy, because once you reach the age of bar mitzvah, if there was somebody who was there with a head start before you, he's going to be stronger. Nevertheless, at the point you get the yetzer tov, you're able to exercise your free will, because you're able to hear both sides now. That is when you can make decisions. That's why a child cannot make major decisions, cannot make nedarim, promises, cannot fulfill mitzvot before the age of bar mitzvah, because he cannot listen to the two sides. Hashem says, so what? Where is he? I never heard of him. He has a problem listening to his parents. You think he's going to listen to somebody who does not see? How could you expect him to perform if he does not understand what it means to listen? He does not understand what this does for him. And even children at the age of 13, 14 are not fully mature yet, but at least they're able to exercise that free will because there's a balance. The Yetzer Tov is there now. He said, not only no more Yetzer Hara by himself, now there's a balance. Now that there's a balance, I need somebody to maintain that balance for me. We're given the Torah, and we're given the mitzvot from that point on, and you will be able to do it if you study regularly. And of course, if you fulfill all the other mitzvot too. But especially with the Torah. Of all the mitzvot, this is what will maintain the most balance. That is why I always mention the Gemara. The Gemara, Le'olam digris inish v'hadar lispar. If one wants to begin learning Gemara, he doesn't have too much time to learn Gemara. Let him first go through it once, even if he does not fully understand it well. The second time around, let him spend more time reviewing it deeper, analyzing everything. Don't analyze too much, otherwise you will crawl and not get anywhere. There's a certain degree of importance to accomplishment. Finishing books. When we finish a Masechet, one of the things that we say at the end of the Masechet, Shakadosh Baruch Hu yizakenu lilmod sefarim achirim u'lesaimam, to learn other books and to finish them. How many times people open up a book and they never finish it? They read one page, that's it, they leave it. I buy something, I want to learn it from cover to cover. Otherwise, why should I buy it? To collect dust? Just for reference? I can go to the library for reference. A book, hopefully, there's something to gain from it, is intended to learn it from cover to cover. But if you don't always fully understand it, every single word, you don't have to stop. You don't have to slow down because of that. Go through it. What will happen when a Jew goes through Gemarot? When a Jew goes through Zohar, Chumash, Agadah, Midrash? You know what happens when you go through this? Even though you don't understand everything, I guarantee you, I assure anybody who does that, not just Gemara, Chumash, Agadah, Zohar, he will become a God-fearing person. There is a tremendous amount of Yirat Shamayim that will enter him just by going through. Remember what we just said before? The immersion in it. Even though you don't fully understand, just reading the words. Obviously you have to understand the translation, but even if you don't fully grasp, just by going through it once, a tremendous amount will be gained. I've been asked, how could it be that we have all these conservative rabbis not doing teshuvah? Don't they know the truth? Why do they have to remain what they are? Doesn't it clearly say in the Gemarot? So with the reform, you can tell me an easy answer. The guys don't read and learn. They don't read every year. And even if they do, some of them do, they don't believe in it. Well, that's going to be a big problem. They claim this is man-made, and of course they don't have the very yesod that we spoke about, the very foundation. The very foundation is to believe that there is a creator who created the world, who supervises the world, and who gave us the Torah. Obviously, if you don't have that, then there's nothing to talk about.
One of the introductions in the book,
Right.
It says that they say that Hashem didn't give Moshe.
That's right, of course. They have to say that, otherwise they can't live with it. Now, how could they believe in it and not accept it? That's hypocrisy, right? So now, forget about reform, but let's talk about conservative, or take any other scholar. There are many scholars out there in the world, Jews and non-Jews, who have gone through the Gemara, who know it very well. You know that there have been people in the Vatican who have taught themselves Hebrew, and who knew sometimes Gemara better than other Jews. What's going on over there? There are some Jews who are geniuses, and they went to yeshivot too, and they read Gemarot, they studied it. What happened to them? Why haven't they advanced? Now, perhaps we can offer several explanations, and I'm not saying that there's only one, but the most important explanation, I believe, is as follows. Because there are many challenges out there, because life is not easy, because there are struggles in the human being himself, constantly between the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov, if a Jew does not learn through the Midrash, through the Zohar, if he only learns a little bit of Gemara, if he only limits himself to a little bit, a piece of the pie, not to the whole thing, or to a good portion of it, he'll be missing out a lot. Not only in knowledge, but in Yirat Shamayim. You can have a person who's very knowledgeable, knows a lot. How could he not have Yirat Shamayim? If he were to read everything there is to know, or a lot of it, it's almost impossible he will not have Yirat Shamayim. I assure you, that is what the rabbis meant by legalism. Go through it once. If you go through the whole history of the Jewish people, the Tanakh, the Torah, the Nevi'im Uktuvim, the prophets, go through it, understand it, read through it, read through all the Gemarot, read through the Zohar, read through the Midrash, read Musar. It is almost impossible that a normal human being, I said normal for a reason, will not become inspired, to become more God-fearing, to become more interested, to want to become a tzaddik, because it will inspire him. That's a guarantee. That is what the rabbis meant. Ligeres inash. Then either they have not done so, they have not gone to limit themselves to just one part of the pie. That's not enough. You've got to absorb it. You've got to learn more. Either they have not done so, or in conjunction with that, they may have ta'avot. They may have desires that in order to satisfy desires, they cannot, of course, accept this and accept that. The Torah said, you cannot do this. How could you? I don't touch this. This is for me good. This is what I enjoy. This is what I'll believe in. This is what I will accept, and not that. In other words, they make a decision somewhere, right, on how much they're willing to accept and do. And as I've explained in the past with those evolutionists, several of them confess that they know it's ridiculous. They know that this is just a theory. It has no foundation. Doesn't make sense. They made it up. For what reason? So they can live with their desires. They had many sexual desires. And in order to have the freedom to be able to exercise, to fulfill their desires, they had to negate or deny that there is a God that created. They want to say, "En din ve'en dayan." There's no judge, there's no law. I can do whatever I want. No, who's to tell me this is right, this is wrong? There's no such thing as right and wrong. Just like beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, so is right and wrong. What is right for him is maybe wrong for me. What is right for me maybe is wrong for him. So what? Right? Human beings, of course, codified, each nation codified what is right and wrong in order to have peace and quiet in society. But who's to say that this type of government is better than that? Who says that democracy is better? I think the dictatorship is better. And by the way, if you have a good dictator, it is a better type of government. Look at all the Republicans and Democrats, they're always fighting. Look at what's happening in Israel. You have 120 parties. Who's to say one is more right than the other? Maybe the leftists are right. Chas v'shalom, of course. Right? I think they're very, very wrong. But they don't think so. They don't think so. And they're not lying. They really believe in what they say. Because human beings, if they don't have a Torah to follow, they will follow their nature. Their mind, which is either their education, or their home, or their nature, their mazal, how they were born, their character and personality. One guy is a leftist, one guy is a rightist, one guy believes in this, and one guy believes in this. One guy is pro-death penalty, one not. Where does this come from? From their personalities, from their ideologies. Where does ideology come from? From your teachers, from your parents, from the books you read. That's it. Maybe those books were wrong. Maybe you are wrong. Did you think about it? That is what the Torah tells us. By the way, when you have an argument, the majority should decide. As long as, of course, it's not against the Torah. But otherwise, we have the Torah to guide us with the truth. This is what Hashem was. He created the world. He told us. I know what this is for. I know what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. You can't trust yourself, and you can't trust other people too. Each one has a mind of his own, and he has desires of his own. And those desires cloud his judgment. You don't want your judgment to be clouded? Don't use your judgment. Use the Torah. That is why many times when there is a controversial issue, and I say, and I speak about it, I say, by the way, what I will tell ladies and gentlemen, I'm not giving you my opinion because I have none. I give what the Torah says. Why should I give you my opinion? The Torah already tells us. So I'm giving you what the Torah says. Now I have no opinion in this matter. Some situations, of course, you want to express your best judgment based on what the Torah says. But never do we have an opinion. And when you do have an opinion, hopefully, it is based on solid information. Not on your gut feeling, your instinct. It's based on something. Otherwise, you have no right to express an opinion unless you've covered the information, you've covered the literature. Who's interested in your opinion? Most people's opinions is because all it is their instinct, their feeling, their gut feeling. Is it based on something concrete, on some logic? By us, the Jewish people, we don't need logic. All we need is the Torah says so. It makes sense? Well, that's because we don't understand, not because the Torah is not logical. The Torah is perfect. It makes sense. Hopefully one of these days we will understand. Alright, I think the last point that we're going to cover is, now that we understand what man needs to do and how he needs to do it, in the end, what does he accomplish when he does it besides the reward? He's able to draw closer to Borei Olam. Drawing closer to Borei Olam, we explained a couple weeks ago, means that he becomes more and more shalem. He becomes more and more complete. When he's born, when we are born, we're incomplete. That is why we make a brit milah, to remind us that we're incomplete is something that we need to still do on our body. This body is incomplete. That is why we are born as little babies instead of animals who are almost self-sufficient, a few days walking on their own. To remind us man has to continue to progress and grow, make something of himself. He's not complete, he's not shalem. And by way of the mitzvot, he's able to complete himself and draw closer to the Borei Olam. And the closer one gets, he becomes more elevated, and that is what tzaddikim are all about. Tzaddikim in the literal sense means a person who does what is right, not what is wrong, tzedek, justice, or like the Rambam says, whoever has more mitzvot than averot, more good deeds than bad, is a tzaddik. Whoever has more bad than good is a rasha. And obviously we're not talking about numbers here, because we're talking about quality too. You can have one averah that is worth 10 mitzvot, in the sense of badness. It's so bad. Right? So not necessarily number, but in quality. In other words, a person who is more bad than he is good, he's a rasha. A rebel, a person who's the opposite, is called a tzaddik. In tzaddikim there are also many levels. A person can attain tremendous heights of kedusha by drawing closer to Borei Olam. The only way he can do this is by the mitzvot. But there's something that perhaps is not called a mitzvah. It's a characteristic that will help us understand why some people become more tzaddikim than others. In other words, okay, we're all doing mitzvot. Why is this one so strong? Is he just doing it more, better in some way? What's basically the distinction? What is it in all these levels, these different levels, that makes a difference here? That some are drawing more closer to Hashem and some less, even though they're all tzaddikim. And perhaps the best answer for this is called self-control. Rabbi tells in Pirkei Avot, who is strong, who is powerful, one who controls himself, one who conquers his yetzer. This is tremendous strength. Strength does not mean picking up 500 kilo, weightlifting. True strength is strength of character. Strength of character is judged by how much you can control yourself. Controlling yourself means controlling a midah, a bad midah that a person is born with. One who's able to overcome that midah, one who's able to completely exercise self-control almost all times, That is a true tzaddik. Is a gibor. Gibor, they were talking about who's a tremendous, not only gibor meaning that he's strong, meaning that who is a true tzaddik, in that sense, who has the strength of kedusha in him, one who is able to defeat the yetzer. That is not an easy task. If he's able to defeat him once, twice, 3 times, that's fine. Not everybody is able to do it every day. We sometimes win and we sometimes lose. That's okay, as long as you sometimes win. That's okay. Remember that. That's very important. As long as you sometimes win, fine. But one who's always winning is, of course, going to be always in the high mile. He's not soiled. He's not dirty. And of course, he's going to be much closer to Borei Olam. And when a Jew becomes close to Borei Olam, you continue to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu me'ir lo panim. In other words, he turns to him. He becomes close to him. And that is the verse in Solomon, Kamayim panim la panim ken lev adam adam. However one feels towards his friend, it's like a mirror image. That friend feels towards you. You want to know if somebody likes you? This is not after one date or one encounter. After several months or years of knowing it. However exactly how you feel towards that person, he feels towards you. Now you may be more willing to sacrifice than he. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love you as much, right? Because one is more intense than the other. But the way you feel towards another Jew, another individual, that is the way he feels towards you. The way we feel towards the mitzvot, towards Hashem, that is the way he feels towards you. In other words, if you want to know if Hashem is happy with you, how happy are you to perform the mitzvot? It's a mirror image. You're excited, you feel good about it, you want to do it, Hashem comes towards you. He also loves you. He opens you all the gates. It's a mirror image. And that is the difference between tzaddikim and how intense they are, how much they're willing to go out of their way. How much their love is, that's how much the love of Hashem is. So there are different levels. They all could be tzaddikim. But some are in love, right? Some are in love. They're very in love. They're very intense about it. And of course, they've done this how? By exercising self-control at all times, not giving up even once, continuously learning Torah, and by fulfilling every mitzvot. And this is not hard. I shouldn't say hard. It is not easy, but it's not impossible. It is possible. Everybody is able to perform what everybody is able to draw closer to Borei Olam. And those who attempt, we have a tradition, those who attempt to do teshuvah, those who make an effort to do something to pick themselves up, Hashem will hold them by their hands like a little baby and will walk until they're able to walk on their own. And that is a tremendous promise that we've seen materialized with many Balei Teshuvah who have been to Tibet and to India and who have been to every guru and who have had no inkling as to what Judaism is. But as soon as they read and they were honest with themselves, they discovered the truth. As soon as they're honest, and that is of course another important ingredient here that I don't even have to explain. It's obvious that you have to be honest, you have to be open-minded, you can't be like those evolutionists. Well, I want to fulfill this desire, so I have to forget about it. If you're convinced that this is it, then the next logical step is to do something about it. Obviously, somebody who's not convinced, he has to be first convinced. But a person should not be blind to say, well, I'm not convinced because I don't want to be convinced. No. A person has to be honest, just like Avraham Avinu set out to discover, and he discovered. One should just ask himself, my great-grandparents believed in this, their parents did, all these generations followed this. They had the strength, they were willing to die for it. Am I smarter than they are? Better than they are? Why is it, if it was good for them, it should be good for me? That requires honesty. A person who would rather ignore this, he's not responsible, he does not want to assume responsibilities. Or he has tremendous tavot. He could be a responsible man, but he has tremendous tavot that he's not willing to control. And that's too bad, and it's very, very sad, because he's not focused on the reality. And the reality is that this is just a little world. You're not going to take that big belly of yours to the... Actually, you will take it, but the worms will eat it. Right? Well, where's all that food going to go? Right? What are you going to do with all that money? That's not the ikar. But the Yitzhak, unfortunately, does a tremendous, powerful job, works 24 hours overtime, and tries to dissuade and convince people this is good, this is fun. Don't learn. Don't waste your time. This is what you should invest in stocks. Go and watch it, how it goes up and down, and get a heart attack from it. and go play golf when you have time. This is a tremendous loss of time and resources, and worst of all, it distracts the person from his ultimate goal, takes him away from Avodat Avoreh, from the service of Hashem, and in the end, what has he accomplished in 75 years? He has not matured spiritually. He's just like a little baby. Upstairs is a different age. When a person comes upstairs, he sees a different stone on his grave. It says he was 2 years old when he passed away. 2 years old? I was 99. Our age is not the physical group. The age is the age of the neshama. How many years of mitzvot and ma'asim tovim did you do? You're like a 2-year-old baby. You didn't accomplish anything. Barely anything. A little bit. You put on your tefillin a couple times. You went to shiur once in a while. You're like a little baby. You know what? We have to send you back. You didn't do anything. Okay, that's a whole different subject, the subject of reincarnation, which we'll talk about later on. But in the end, that is what we're here for. We're here to accomplish a certain degree of shlemut, of completeness. And that completeness can only be accomplished by fulfilling the Torah and Mitzvot. And once somebody does that, he is also able to draw closer to Borei Olam. That's where the tzaddikim have been always. Being close to Borei Olam, and as a result of their closeness, Hashem fulfilled their wishes. They were so close, they were able to demand things that Hashem would give. They were able to bless, and Hashem says, okay. That is a tremendous level. They have Ruach HaKodesh, they have divine inspiration. When they dream at night, they see real dreams. They're able to see the future. That's what the prophets were all about. Tremendous people on a high level. What do they all have in common? Self-control. How did the self-control come about? By realizing this is important, this is not important. If this is not important, I better control it. I better leave it out. I'm not going to let it control me. That is the Gibor. The Gibor, the Chacham, the Tzaddik, is the one that says, I'm going to control it. This Yetzer, I'm not going to let it control. I'm not going to be a slave of it. He's going to be my slave. I will need him. I need to eat. I need to sleep. But all of these functions, to eat and to sleep, will be L'avodat Borei. You know why I eat? I should be healthy. I should be able to serve Hashem. You know why I buy a house? So I can raise a Jewish family. You know why I buy a car? So I can go to work and make a living, so I can give tzedakah and help people. When you focus on the gashmiyut that we have, but for the right things, then that will not distract you.